Good morning, everybody. If I could ask you to take your seats, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Members of council. Thank you very much, everyone, and welcome to the special council meeting of November the 2nd that's been called here today. Just before I call for approval of the agenda, I'd like to recognize two councillor-elects who have joined us here for this morning's discussion. City Councillor Rowena Santos is here. Just give a bit of a wave. And Regional Councillor Paul Vicenti's joined us here this morning. And if there's anybody else that I don't see, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you very much. Are there any additions to today's agenda? There shouldn't be, since the procedural bylaw does not allow us to have a special meeting for anything other than what was publicized. So I'll move for approval of the, Councillor Miles.
An announcement. Peter's looking worried. It's about United Way? No?
No,
Okay.
other than what was publicized.
Other than support United Way? Okay, thank you.
All members of council are present today, with the exception of Mayor Jeffrey. And I think I will speak on behalf of everybody else that we're especially pleased that Councillor Gibson was able to join us here this morning. Would someone like to, Councillor Paleschi has moved approval of the agenda, seconded by Councillor Willens. All those in favor? That's carried. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Councillor Miles, I see you on the board, but I think you've just not been removed. Okay. Seeing none, there are no delegations this morning. Our first presentation, and there was a handout. It was a copy of the briefing note that we received earlier from CAO Schlang that we received a few days ago. And it's just added here again today, so for your information. And so we'll move now to presentations, and we'll invite CAO Harry Schlang forward, and he will be joined by Glenn Craney, Deputy Provost and Vice Provost University Planning for Ryerson University. And I'll turn it over to you, Harry.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thanks.
I really thought it would be introductory comments by both of us, because we've been working together so closely for such a long time on this file. And I felt it was most we talk to you together. But as you know, when I sent you some notices, when we got the announcement last Tuesday night, and we immediately went into action. I actually called the CAOs from Markham and Milton, and they too were very disappointed and surprised by the news, much like we were. If you consider Milton and ourselves, we're sort of on the same time frame, but Markham had been working on this for a while, and they were almost in the process of issuing purchase orders to start the construction of the campus. So they too were severely impacted by this announcement. But again, we quickly huddled. We talked to President Lashemi that Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. We view this jointly as an obstacle that we're going to overcome and move forward on, and come back with some better solutions for the province and for ourselves in Ryerson. Also talked to Dr. Jeanette Morrison at Sheridan, totally all in to continue to work with us and Sheridan and Ryerson to again, look at this as a little obstacle that we're going to overcome over time. So rather than me say all the facets that we're going to continue on with Ryerson, I thought it'd be best that Glenn tell you what we're going to continue to be working on in the short term. Glenn?
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So I-
Welcome, Glenn.
Oh, thank you. So I'm Glenn Cranium. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to meet many of you. And I'm representing Dr. Lashemi today, the president of Ryerson. He's sorry that he can't be here, but he's actually in Ottawa yesterday and today, working on this exact issue as we start to move forward. And so what I wanted to do is, and in the package you see sort of a copy of my remarks, I wanted to focus on three things. The first thing is the partnership. We've been working closely together for 2 years on this project. This is the next big thing that Ryerson is looking to do, is to move forward. And we see this as a speed bump. It's an obstacle to move forward, but it's not. What we're looking for is how we can move forward together from this. And I'm pleased to be standing here today with Harry, because the way that we're going to move forward to the next thing is in partnership and working with everyone who's been supporting this moving forward. And so if you look at the announcement and what we heard on Tuesday, there's many parts to what the partnership between Ryerson and Brampton that's been in the background. And our very first thought was, what can we continue to move forward with that actually is not affected by the announcement? And again, in my notes, you'll see the first part is the presence of the Chang School. So this is our continuing education faculty. The commitment to Brampton was to bring that forward in January, and we're bringing forward 2 programs in January. And that's going to continue to go ahead. There's been lots of demand for that, and actually the conversations have been talking about how we expand that beyond what the initial offering is in January. Second part is around the Innovation Hub, and so we've had lots of really good conversations between Sheridan, between the city, the Brampton Board of Trade, and Ryerson about how we can move forward and really jumpstart that. Again, that's a commitment that we've made, and we're going to continue that process as you look to set up the Innovation Hub in early next year. And last but definitely not least, and this is what President Lashemi is doing in Ottawa right now, is the Cybersecure Catalyst. I've had lots of really good conversations with business from Brampton and business from across the GTA, who is really interested in this as being something that's going to be very important for economic development, both in Brampton and across the province. We've made a commitment to Cybersecure Catalyst and the new institute, and that we're looking to cite that here. President Lashemi was talking to me this morning about his conversations. He's had lots of good conversations with MPs from the federal government, looking to have that secure investment and have that located in Brampton for moving forward. The next big thing, obviously, is the academic presence of the building and how we move forward with that. And what I think we heard from the province is that the announcement was talking about the province's ability to pay, right? And they left the door open to continue to come back with an additional proposal. And what we're planning to do here is, over the coming weeks and months, to reset, to work with our partners in Brampton, to work with our partners at Sheridan, and work with the province around creating a solid proposal that can bring this forward. And we're off our timelines, but we can try to do this at some point in the future. And that's our commitment as we like to move forward. Happy to have answer questions about any of these aspects, and talk about how we continue to strengthen this partnership.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that as soon as Ryerson regroups, they've committed to meeting with our staff, whiteboarding session, and in the next coming weeks and a few months to really come back with some new solutions over the next few months.
Great. Thank you, Harry and Glenn, for your presentation. I'm going to open up the floor to members of council who might have some questions. I'm glad that your comments this morning were very positive, that, Brampton's used to being thrown a curveball every now and then, and so we're used to kind of navigating through that. But we've got a list of speakers. Councillor Medeiros.
Thank you for the chair. First of all, thank you, Harry and staff, for and certainly Ryerson coming together and putting a game plan and being proactive. So I really appreciate that. I guess some questions would be, the first one, I did see that there was a meeting with federal MPs from Brampton and with the Ryerson president. Do we have any, what the discussion was around, and if you can shed some light?
Great. So absolutely. So President Lashemi is in Ottawa yesterday and today. What we're looking to do is secure a federal commitment towards the Cybersecure Catalyst. And so that's what his focus is. To date, I talked to President Lashemi this morning. All of the conversations have been really positive, and we're looking forward to hearing some positive news from the province about how we can support that and locate that in Brampton.
Thank you. Through the chair as well, in terms of timelines, be it understanding that still there's a lot of moving parts, but we suspect that we can at least meet the timelines if everything still, what is sort of the drop dead date for us to sort of know that we've secured funding, regardless what through what option, for us to meet the timelines which were previously established. Or I imagine, you know, it's early days and I don't want to pinpoint, but I imagine there's going to be a date where we reach and we say, listen, we don't have the funds now, so those timelines are off the table.
So, that is the $1,000 question in terms of how
Yeah.
you want to move forward. I think this is early days. I don't have an answer for you today.
Yeah.
What I will say is that while a lot of the focus has been around the capital dollars to support the construction of the new campus, there are other parts to the financial package that makes that work, and we'll need to bring the province to the table as to see what their commitment's going to look like. We don't have a timeline currently. I think our commitment is to get back as soon as we can with a solid proposal, but that's a little uncertain. The next steps for us would be to continue to regroup with the city and then work on what that proposal will be, and then begin the conversation with the province.
And Chair, just to, both Glenn and I have asked for a meeting with the Deputy Minister. I'm sure we're going to get that, and through the next coming months, we'll have, you know, clearer picture on that.
And just lastly, I guess through the chair, I'm not sure if it's to Peter or to Harry, do you need some official motion from a procedural perspective to direct staff to work with all the partners?
No.
Is that not required? Okay.
We're continuing and, you know, speaking to some councillor-elects, you know, this is a key priority, so we're going to continue on.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Medeiros. Councillor Miles.
Much, through you, Madam Acting Mayor. I too want to echo, I'm so glad to hear the positive remarks that we're hearing this morning, and that the city of Brampton is resolute and will continue to make this happen. My question's actually through you, Madam Mayor, to Mr. Schlang. So we as a council had committed $150 million to the Centre of Excellence in the downtown, and I believe the process was well underway to start with drawings, etc. on that. Is the work on that continuing, and we're moving forward as we had always planned?
For clarity, through your chair, for clarity, the 100 million was designated for the Center of Innovation, which we called the new reference library on steroids, including shared space for Ryerson, and for the cybersecurity catalyst that Glenn is referring to. So that was the 100 million. 50 million was then towards the Ryerson campus. So of course, the Ryerson campus component has to be, you know, reviewed with Ryerson as next steps with the province. The 100 million that council has approved for Center of Innovation, we're continuing with the planning on that, and the new council will be deeply involved in moving forward with next steps on that.
Could you give us a little bit more information on the timing?
Oh, well, again, because we were, as you know, we were doing just the planning on the 100 million. So we're continuing those discussions with Ryerson on the shared space. So I would say maybe by, you know, March, April next year, we'll have some clearer picture on how we go forward on the Center of Innovation.
Okay. My other question is in regards to the Chang School. Will you, through you, Madam Acting Mayor, will you just continue to try and find a location for that, so that the doors can open as originally planned?
Through you, Madam Chair, the idea there is to have the Chang School use some of the space that we currently have available here at the city. So we're going to use city space for that. Specifically, we're looking at the West Tower.
Oh, okay, great, good. Thank
Through
you
you,
very
Chair, that was the thing, is get the Ryerson brand here as soon
Yes.
as possible regardless. So, yeah.
And if I can add one thing again through the chair, that demand for the programs has been really high, and so I think as we look forward, we're already planning the next 2 programs. So this is something that's already been a success before we have students, and really looking forward to growing that.
So despite the announcement, Ryerson University will open its doors in 2019. Good news, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fortini.
Thank you, through Acting Mayor. Just a quick. Will the site be, we're still going to be looking on the same site where we planned from the start? It's not going to change on the Metrolink?
I can answer. I think, again, Councillor, you know, we'll do a due diligence with Ryerson, continue to do that. Right now, it is that site that Ryerson has selected. We'll continue to work that is the site. But if anything changes or anything modifies from that in the future, we'll be working with the new council on that.
We're looking for a different site. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Bowman.
Thank you very much. Through you, Madam Mayor, Acting Mayor. I just wondered, Harry, were our two Conservative MPPs informed that we were having this meeting today, and were they invited to attend to possibly answer any questions we might have of them?
Through you, Chair, I believe Councillor Dillon did reach out to the two MPPs. I know I have a meeting scheduled with one of the MPPs after this meeting, you know, just to brief him on our next steps and make sure that, you know, he's on board with what we're trying to do. But I think Councillor Dillon did reach out to the two MPPs.
Okay, and I meant our two Conservative MPs, in
Yes.
case I didn't say that, yeah. Okay. And from what I read, they were not present for the vote? Yeah, that's what I thought I heard. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Dillon.
Thank you. Thank you, Acting Mayor. Can you guys update us on any of the discussions we've had, or if there's any preliminary discussions with the private sector?
So with respect to, most of our conversations with the private sector have been around the cybersecure catalyst. We have many partners who are interested in participating and even helping to fund that and move forward. So we're very, very pleased in terms of where that goes. It was very early days in terms of the academic presence that were here, and there weren't a lot of conversations with the private sector because we weren't that far along in our development yet. I think as part of the regroup, we would like to see what that looks like as we complete our plan and then come back for a new proposal.
Is there any potential discussions in terms of the 90 million loss that the private sector itself helping out with that?
I think that will be part of the plan as we start to bring that back.
Right. Perhaps, I don't know who this is for, perhaps Harry even, can you advise on what the discussions with Metrolinx have been like?
Through you, again, the deal was with Metrolinx and Ryerson, so those were positive discussions prior to the announcement, so everything was moving forward on that land. Again, in this whole reset, you know, as Ryerson regroups and works with us, you know, we can update council with discussions on that going forward.
Right, so the actual land itself, the funding's been canceled, but they haven't retracted their commitment to the actual land portion itself, have they?
Through you, Chair, these are things we have to flesh out. I can't give you a total answer on that today, but these are things we're going to
Right.
continue to investigate.
So in terms of that discussion, is there a timeline?
Through you, council, I don't have a timeline on that because you know, Ryerson really needs some time to regroup on this as well. And then as we work with Ryerson, we'll have some timelines for the new council.
So if I can just add to that, I think that when I made my remarks, I talked about something being multifaceted. There are capital and operating impacts related to what the full proposal looks like. While most of the discussion has been around the 90 million provincial support for the capital, there are other parts of the proposal, and I think you're talking to one of them. What we would need to do is come back with an integrated proposal that has all those parts put in place. We continue to talk to all of our partners around their continued commitment moving forward, but we'll have to see what all these pieces look like as we move through this sort of time of uncertainty into something that we want to move forward with. The overwhelming conversation that we've been hearing back at Ryerson is that we want to put together the strongest, best proposal that we can that has the highest chance for success moving forward, but that is going to be part of it.
Final question is this, that the 90 million's been taken off the table. Has there been or can there be any potential discussions for the per pupil or per student funding? Is that something that's a possibility?
So that needs to be part of the discussion as we move forward, and at some point we will come back and have a detailed conversation with the province about all the parts of their commitment.
Thank you.
Okay. I have no further speakers on the board. Councillor Dill, oh, sorry, I keep forgetting that the resolution sheets are prepared in advance. I have a motion from Councillor Willen, seconded by Councillor Bowman, that that's for the delegation that was not added? Okay, thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Paleshi, seconded by Councillor Dillon, that the presentation by CAO Harry Schlang and Glenn Craney from Ryerson University be received. All those in favor? That's carried. The correspondence was added previously for presentation number 5.1, public question period. This is an opportunity for any members of the public who have questions. We have 15 minutes set aside for that. If you could state your name for the public record. That doesn't mean you get 15 minutes. We got a total of 15 minutes, Wes.
Oh, come on now. The question I have, the cost-benefit analysis was done based on Ryerson being there, not just the Chang School, not just aspects of it. Has, through you, Madam Chair, has the cost-benefit analysis been updated? Because we're potentially spending $150 million with now a substantially reduced benefit. So I'm just wondering when the public will get some more information on those revised numbers. That's my question. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Schlang?
Thank you, Chair. Again, as we reset, we'll revisit the business case. Again, our site is still that Ryerson will be here. The business case was set on 5,000 students, so, you know, maybe just we prorate that over a longer length of time, but we will revisit that for the new council as well.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that wish to ask a question? If you could state your name for the public record, please.
My name is Deepak Punj, and my question is, did MPPs convey before to the council that the funding is going to cancel before election or not?
I think the short answer is no.
And when some councillors they campaign in a certain way about the university, but when they were not sure that university is something solid is coming, why they did campaign for
Well,
that?
I can't speak to the candidates, but what I can speak to is that there was a provincial announcement. It was a commitment that the city of Brampton and anybody who ran in the election believed was a firm commitment. It was not until subsequent to the election that there was this announcement. There was no indication that this was going to happen.
So commitment is good enough to announce publicly that the university is coming?
Yes, it was. It was a fair issue to campaign on, given the facts that were known at the time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Councillor Dillon, did you wish to add to that? Briefly.
Yes.
I'm reminded by the clerk.
Yeah. So, sorry, Mr. Punj, nobody on this council, I don't think anybody in our staff had any idea that this was going to happen, so it was a complete surprise to everybody.
As it was to Milton and Markham as well. So.
Do we need to move for seat, Mr. Clerk, of the two that asked the public question? Okay, we'll move now down to the confirming bylaw. Has been moved by Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Palashi, that the following bylaw before council at its special council meeting of November the 2nd be given the required number of readings, taken as read, and signed by the mayor and the city clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto, to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on November 2nd, 2018. All those in favor? All in favor? Thank you. And now we have a motion to adjourn moved by Councillor Willen, seconded by Councillor Gibson, that the council now do adjourn to meet again for the inaugural meeting of council on Monday, December the 3rd at 8 p.m. or at the call of the mayor. All those in favor? This should be unanimous, folks. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today.